There is a brand new bill sitting in Congress right now with your VA unemployability check in its crosshairs. It would end TDIU at age 67. If you saw that headline this week, you probably felt your stomach drop, because for hundreds of thousands of veterans, unemployability is the difference between a partial check and the full 100% rate, almost $4,000 a month. So let me do what the headlines will not. Open the actual text. Because buried in the bill's own language is one line that protects every single veteran already receiving TDIU, and one date that should make some of you move faster instead of panicking. In the next few minutes, 5 things. 1. What this bill would actually do in 2 moves, and why the first move is not what you think. 2. The grandfather line, word for word, exactly who is safe. 3. Where the bill really stands tonight, including the number of co-sponsors it has, because that number tells you almost everything. 4. The honest urgency, why December 31st, 2026 is a date that matters if you have never filed, and what form to use. And 5. The 3 protections that stand between your age and your rating today, no matter what Congress does next. I run the veteran brief and I sit on this side of the desk for one reason, so the paperwork never beats the people who earned the benefit. Let's open the file. First, 30 seconds on what we are protecting, because not everyone watching has this benefit yet. TDIU, total disability based on individual unemployability, is the rule that says, if your service-connected disabilities keep you from holding substantially gainful work, the VA pays you at the 100% rate, even when your combined rating sits below 100. This year, that rate is $3,938.58 a month for a single veteran. The usual path asks for one disability rated at least 60% or a combined 70 with one condition at 40 or more. There is also a side door, extraschedular, for veterans whose numbers fall short but who still cannot work. And here is a detail that matters tonight. TDIU does not live in a law passed by Congress. It lives in the VA's own regulations. Section 4.16. Keep that in your pocket. It explains half of this story. Now the bill. In June of 2026, a bill called the TDIU Reform Act of 2026 was introduced in the House of Representatives. It would do 2 things. Move 1. It would take unemployability out of the regulation book and write it directly into federal statute. A brand new section, 1170 of Title 38. The rating thresholds, the side door path, the definition of marginal employment, carried over, word for word, into the U.S. Code. And I want to be honest with you, because nobody else covering this will say it. That move, by itself, is not an attack. A benefit that lives only in a regulation can be rewritten by an agency. A benefit written into statute can only be changed by Congress. Codifying TDIU actually makes it harder to erase quietly. If the bill stopped there, I would be telling you good news tonight, but it does not stop there. Move 2 is the headline. The bill says unemployability compensation, quote, may not be paid to a veteran age 67 or older, 67, the same age Social Security calls full retirement. That is the line that lit up every comment section this week. So now let's read the line right next to it, the one the angry thumbnails keep cropping out. The cap, by the bill's own text, applies only to veterans who first received TDIU on or after December 31st, 2026. Read that again. If you are receiving unemployability right now at 58, at 67, at 80, this bill, as written, does not touch your check, not at 67, not ever. You would be what the lawyers call grandfathered, protected by the very language people are panicking about. That is not my opinion. That is the text. So if you are sitting there tonight on TDIU, 66 years old, wondering if your check has a countdown clock on it, breathe. Under this bill as written, it does not. And under current law, it absolutely does not. Because of a regulation we will get to in a minute that flat out forbids the VA from using your age against you. The people this bill could actually touch are different. Veterans who qualify for unemployability but have not been awarded it yet. Hold that thought, because it turns this story from fear into a to-do list. But first, where does this bill actually stand? Because a proposal is not a law, and this one is further from law than the headlines suggest. It was introduced in the House and referred to the Committee on Veterans Affairs. That is step 1 of a long staircase. And here is the number that tells you almost everything. As of tonight, it has 0 co-sponsors. not 5, not 2, 0. In Washington, a bill with no co-sponsors is a bill nobody is fighting for yet. Now add the history. The idea of cutting unemployability off at retirement age is not new. It has shown up in federal budget option lists for years, over and over, and it has died every single time. The veteran service organizations come out against it, the math gets ugly, and it quietly disappears. Could this time be different? It could. That is why we watch. It is rare for the idea to graduate from a budget memo into an actual bill, and that alone makes it worth your attention. But there is a long road between a bill with 0 co-sponsors and a signature at the White House. Nothing about TDIU has changed today. Nothing changes tomorrow. Your job is not to panic. Your job is to know exactly where the line is, and to act if you are standing on the wrong side of it. Which brings me to the honest urgency, and I want to be careful here, because I am not in the business of manufacturing deadlines. If your service-connected conditions keep you from working, if you have been scraping by on a 60 or 70% combined rating while your body makes every workday impossible, unemployability may already be yours under today's rules, and today's rules have no age line anywhere in them. But notice what the bill chose as its trigger. Veterans who first received TDIU on or after December 31st, 2026. If a version of this ever passes, the veterans on the wrong side of that date are the ones who waited. The ones who filed, who got their award before the music stopped, keep their full protection. So the math is simple, and it has nothing to do with fear. If you believe unemployability fits your situation, file now, while the only thing standing between you and the 100% rate is evidence, not your birthday. The form is 21-8940, the application for increased compensation based on unemployability, and your last employer. Fills out a companion form, 21-4192. You will need your rating to meet the thresholds we talked about, medical evidence that the conditions stop you from working, and your work history. It is not a simple claim. Do not file it bare. An accredited VSO will build it with you for free, and this is exactly the kind of claim they exist for. Now the 3 protections standing between your age and your rating today. Protection 1, Regulation 4.19. It says in plain words that age may not be considered as a factor in evaluating unemployability. The VA cannot look at a 68-year-old veteran and say, well, he would have retired anyway. That is illegal today. It has been illegal for decades, and this bill has not changed it. Protection 2. If you are 55 or older, VA policy already spares you from most routine re-examinations. The future exam machine largely stands down. We did a full brief on that rule and the rating protections that stack on top of it. Protection 3. Due process. No reduction, no termination, no change to a running benefit happens silently. The VA must propose it in writing, give you 60 days to answer with evidence, and 30 to request a hearing. Every one of those layers exists tonight, exactly as it did last month. A bill in committee changes none of them. So here is your watch list instead. Check the bill's status yourself on congress.gov, search TDIU Reform Act, and watch 2 things. Does it gain co-sponsors, and does it get a committee hearing scheduled? No co-sponsors, no hearing, no movement. If either changes, you will hear about it here, with the text in hand, not the panic. Let me land this the way I would for my own brother. Walt's buddy is 64, combined 70%, hands that will not hold a wrench through a shift anymore, never filed for unemployability because, his words, I can still do something. This week he saw the age 67 headline and called in a panic, convinced the door was closing. Here is what the file actually says to a man like him. The door is wide open today. No age line exists in current law. The bill that scared him has 0 co-sponsors and a grandfather clause that protects everyone who files and wins before the end of 2026 anyway. The only version of this story where he loses is the one where he keeps waiting. So he stopped waiting. Form 21-8940, work history, doctor's statement, VSO on the phone. That is what knowing the text does. It turns a scary headline into a Tuesday afternoon of paperwork. One honest note before you go. This is education, not legal or financial advice, and bills change. Verify everything on congress.gov and va.gov and let an accredited VSO carry the paperwork. They cost nothing. If this brief took the knot out of your stomach, pass it to one veteran who saw that headline and has not slept right since. That is how this channel works. I'm the Veteran Brief. Thanks for your service, and I will see you in the next brief.